Hi everyone, welcome to Diversify the Verse. This is going to be so exciting because it's our last Diversify the Verse book of 2017, even though it's now 2018. But today we're going to be discussing Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. But first we're going to talk about like a wrap up of this year and all the books that we read, which I have here. And just kind of like talking about what our favorite books are, and we'll also do like a non-spoilery talk on Long Way Down in case you haven't read it. But you should definitely like read it, and then we'll go into like a spoilery discussion as usual. So let's say hi to Alex.
Hey guys, is it on me now? Oh, okay. I'm so excited to talk about this book. So I have fresh in my mind, but yeah, it's our last. It's so bittersweet because it's our last live show. And we're excited to get into the new year with new books and new surprises. So yay, I'm so excited.
Okay. So yeah. And Alex, do you want to start doing some like you probably have been doing the like stuff on Instagram, and I guess I'll talk about a little bit. I think I'll just like go over the books that we have read because I have them all right here. If you want to just kind of like do promo on Instagram, get some people to join us. If you haven't done so already, have you done that already?
What? Oh yeah, I've done promos. I gotta do on the original one, our account though. I only did it on my.
Okay. So I'm just gonna like review all the books that we did this year since I have them all in front of me, and then we're gonna just talk about like our favorites since I thought that'll be like a fun kind of way to wrap up 2017. So the first book we ever did for Diversify the Verse was All American Boys by Brandon Keeley and Jason Reynolds, and yeah, this is our like February read because I think that's when we started. And then what do we do next? Did we do The Secret of a Heart Note next for March?
Yeah, we did.
I like don't remember. This is too far ago. But this is like 6 weeks, and that's the book that we did. And then I think we did Challenger Deep for April. This is by Neil Shusterman with the illustrations by his son, whose name is I forgot. Brendan. Sorry, dude. And then we read, I think we read Flame in the Mist by Renee Adia. Yeah, and the cover just came out for the second book. I'm so excited. And then what did we do?
I know.
I think we did this one. Right at the Edge of the Universe by Shawn David Hutchinson. This was like our June book. And then we did, what did we do? We Diplomat Rishi for our July, August read. And then we did They Both Die at the End. And this was for Hispanic Heritage Month, I believe, which was kind of like mid-September. And this is by Adam Silvera. And then we did Forest of a Thousand Lanterns, which I finally finished. You should be proud of me. I still got to go in and answer all our questions, though. Sorry for slacking, but this is by Julie C. Dow. We did this for October, and that brings us to our last book, which is the one we're talking about today, Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. Oh my gosh, we have 5 viewers! Hi, everyone!
I know, it's so exciting! Hello, welcome, everyone. Welcome to the show. All right, keep going, keep going.
I we kind of like go over some like give awards, I guess. So how about... I don't know. Should we start with like the big ones, or should we like build our way up to like favorite book?
Like, what do you mean?
I don't know. Like, what categories should we give?
I'll just say yes. First favorite book. I mean, it's the big one.
Yeah. Should we just go favorite book?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your favorite book that we read?
Okay. You want me to go mine?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll say my favorite book was, so I'm choosing this book because it did make my top list of 2017 books, and it's, oh my god, I think during that live show was one of the really like rare moments where you see me fangirling. So I would say that one. I mean, all these books are so great though, so I really can't, I really couldn't choose.
Like glitched.
Yeah. Wait, what?
I didn't hear what you said was your favorite book.
Oh yeah, so yeah, it's my favorite book.
Which one?
Oh, The Secret of a Heart Note. Sorry.
Okay. Sorry, I like it glitched and I couldn't hear you.
What about
your favorite book?
Oh, okay. So it's my favorite book because, first of all, I love how she created kind of the emotions with sense. Like, it's just very unique. Out of all these books here, I feel like these books are, all of them have kind of like a realistic, kind of magical realism a little bit, really exceeded my expectations, and I love it. So, and what about you? I'm curious to know, since you're usually, I have kind of a pick, but let's see if I'm right.
Wait, what do you think is my favorite book?
Okay, I think it's gonna When Diplomat Rishi.
You think it's gonna be When Diplomat Rishi?
I think so. I think that's your favorite.
I don't even know, because like I have so many.
Am I right? Am I right?
Here. Like on my top list of favorites for this year, Flame in the Mist, and I put Jason Reynolds because like that's totally like one book. But I don't even know, because like the hard thing is that like I'm obsessed when I read the book and like right after, and then I like forget about it. But I feel like I'm obsessed with every book that I read almost. Like I'm completely in love. Like I can eliminate the ones that I didn't like as much. But I did really love Flame in the Mist. I also really loved Secret of Heart. I was totally cheating, but you like remember how much I was like in love with Court? I think that's his name. From Secret of a Heart, no. But I also just like really am in love with Jason Reynolds' books. Like I love them so much. And what is it? Challenger Deep was on my favorites of 2016 because that's when I first originally read it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'm like, it's like I totally cheated with that, but I don't know, because like I love them, but like now when I think about them, there are like parts of it that I'm just like, So like I don't know what's my favorite.
Girl, you gotta choose. I
don't know. I'm just gonna say Flame in the Mist because I like Okami, whose name I probably say wrong all the time. Sorry, dude, but I really like that one because I like love the retelling of 47 Ronin story plus Mulan plus like Robin Hood, because I really want a Robin Hood retelling story like really badly because I just love that kind of story. I love the girl power in it and how she's kind of like described as an alchemist, but I don't really know. I don't know. I don't really picture like alchemy, but again, I don't really know what alchemy really is. But I just kind of like I like that. I love like the girl power in it, and just I love Renee's books. They're like she's like one of my favorite authors. What else? Oh, like Jason Reynolds is.
Yeah, honestly, it's really weird. I would say like out of all his favorite, so weirdly enough. And yeah, I just didn't think that Flame in the Mist was, I mean, I loved, of course, the aspect of the story, first of all. It's very unique, but just it wasn't, like, in terms of magic system, this was the thing with her other series. It just wasn't developed enough to the point where I liked it. But still, I mean, all these books are great. I'm so happy with what we read. And I'm so happy to see the lineup for 2018. I think that's the most exciting part of what we do in announcing the books, creating so fun. So, yeah.
Like hugging them.
Oh, right.
Oh wait, we gotta talk about like who's your favorite author? Like if it's different from like the book. Oh. I'll go first. My favorite author. Okay, so I mean I already told you like Renee is like one of my favorites, but I'm just gonna eliminate her. I mean I love her. But like one of my new favorite authors that I started this year is Jason Reynolds, and he is like my favorite male author, and I absolutely love him, and I love what he's doing, and his books are fantastic. I've read like most of his I haven't read his like two first. I think I'm gonna pick him up this year, but I just like devoured all his books this year that I did read. Or 5. He's just been coming up with so many books, but I just love him. I love the voice. I think I read all of his books twice. I like read them and then I audiobook them, and it's just like fantastic. I really love his like writing, and I love what he's all about and all like the subjects, and it's just kind of like opened a new world to me reading his books. What about you?
Of course, I knew it was gonna be Jason Reynolds for you, and I totally agree. He has a way with, and the thing is with both our books, with All American Boys and this one, the ones that I've read by Jason Reynolds. After I read them, I looked at the interviews where he explained why he wrote what and like how he wrote it, and it was just like about his writing was just amazing. But oh my god, that's so hard. I don't know who my favorite writer is.
Out of the ones
I don't know. I think
one.
Okay, true. Okay, I think I would say Shawn David Hutchinson because he has a humor in his books that I can't find anywhere else. Like I read funny books. I've tried to read books with like that kind of humor, but I couldn't find it. It's like that one's really unique. I really like I laugh to it. Usually that's not something that happens because when books try to be funny, I don't catch up. But that one definitely stuck out. And I read 2 of his books, so I kind of am familiar with his style. So that's what I would say. But yeah, that was a very hard choice. Bless you.
Yeah. I'm sick, so if I start like dying over here, that's why. What else is on? What about favorite cover?
Oh my god, you can't do that. That's so hard. I have to look at the pictures now.
Do you have them all up? You need a refresher?
Yeah, I mean I have not in a line, but like I have them all like in the Instagram. I don't know. What's your favorite cover?
Let me look at them. Maybe either Secret of a Heart Note, Flame in the Mist, or When Dimple Met Rishi. Because When Dimple Met Rishi is really cute, and I love how we have a person of color on the cover. I just love the back. It's just hilarious. And I love how this is an actual scene in the book. So I guess I'll go with that one because I already chose the other one.
You can't choose 3. Oh no, you chose 1. All right, fine, sure. Okay, I'll say. Oh, I know. Oh my god. Okay, so They Both Die at the End is my favorite cover. I love how it's done. Also, I love how it's like a cover where if you look at it once, you're kind of like, okay, it's just 2 boys. But then you look at it again and you see the Grim Reaper, the shadow, and it's so cool. And also in the cover flap, I don't know if it's in every book copy, but you see there's like the end pages have like the clocks, the time. Yeah, I really thought that was so cool. And honestly, just the cover design in general is my aesthetic. Just so it's so well done. So yeah, I really love it. And out of all of them, I feel like that one stood out to me the most. Even though all of them are pretty, I feel like 2017 was the year for the cover like game, of all the YA books.
But not all of our books are from 2017.
True that, true. But 17 are like everyone.
Like, I mean, you like them from for different reasons, and they're like all kind of a mix of contemporary and it's kind of interesting.
Okay. I don't know. I feel like I don't want to I love all these books. I guess favorite story. What story you enjoy the most? That's a hard one though. Honestly.
What about most original?
Oh, most original? Okay, that one's kind of hard. Alright, I already know what I'm gonna say for this one.
Okay, say it.
They Both Die at the End. Like, that's so original. Like, come on, he made his own freaking system where it I'm just sorry. Like, I'm gonna say magic system even though it wasn't like the development of it. So yeah.
J Monty Cap says that Flame in the Mist is her favorite cover. This is fun. We actually have people watching with us. Wait, what are we talking? Original story. At the edge of the universe was a really cool concept.
Yeah, oh shoot.
Oh, what about a book that surprised you? What book surprised you the most?
Shoot. Yeah, that remember what actually happened in the books. Oh wait, actually, I think I know. Wait. Crap. Okay, you go first.
I don't know. Let's see.
Okay, I would say Forest of a Thousand Lanterns.
Forest of a Thousand Lanterns?
Yeah. I would say that surprised me the most. Because I thought the author or the main character was gonna go a different way, like choose a different path, but she kind of chose,
That was pretty surprising.
Yes. So surprising to me.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah.
I'd say that's pretty surprising. I don't know. Or yeah, I don't even know. Like some of them, like Flame in the Mist was a bit surprising. But not.
No, really. It wasn't. Yeah, not really. Not really.
Long Way Down is pretty surprising.
Yeah,
because I honestly did not know where it was going. Like,
yeah. Wait, I want to start talking about the book.
What?
I want to start talking about the book.
You want to start talking about the book?
Yes. Should we go ahead?
I guess we could segue. I don't know what else we could do. Least favorites, but I don't like talking about least favorites because I like being positive. So, yeah, let's talk about the book.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Let's leave out least favorites. Let's leave that up to the people to decide.
I don't really believe in talking about least favorites kind of a thing. I like being positive. And so sometimes I just like if I read a book that I don't like, I probably won't even talk about it because I'd rather be positive with my message. Book's up here now. Okay, so let's talk about our kind of initial thoughts and reactions, I guess. That's usually what we do.
Okay. Wait, that's actually the first question, actually. So what are your first impressions of the book? So you want to go first?
We're being non-spoiler right now, so if you haven't read the book, you're still okay.
Go ahead.
You go first.
Okay, me?
What?
Wait, this is spoiler or no spoiler?
No spoiler.
No. Okay, all right. So my first impressions was, okay, I was obviously a bit hesitant. You suggested this book. Oh, wait, no. Who suggested this book? Me?
I think I did, because I wanted to read it.
Yeah. I think you did, but I had it in my possession, so I was definitely going to read it before you. But like,
you got it from the people.
but like, it's, okay, so I'll be honest, I don't read a lot of books in verse, which is it's like me just saying flat out that I just don't enjoy them as much as I do with like narrative books. But the funny thing about this one was that while reading it, it actually read like a narrative. I don't know if the same thing you noticed, but while I was reading it, it didn't, even though I was flipping the pages really fast, it felt like I was reading like a narrative style book. And that's so like it stood out so much. God, I'm already starting this year out with such great books. You see, finishing this one. But yeah, overall the message was also super important. At the beginning, I tried to make sure that I didn't read any like synopsis or anything. And I honestly, going into the book, I had really no idea what was going on. But while reading it and while reading the people, I kind of realized what was going on, and that was kind of like a good like shock to me. So I think going into this book not knowing anything is really great. Yeah. So. What about you?
So I didn't even know, like, I feel like Jason's books need a lot more promo because they do not get, like, the attention that they deserve. They're so amazing. I mean, he started getting, like, a lot more attention with, like, this book coming out, with, like, magazines and TV interviews and stuff, which I'm like, great, because he definitely deserves it. These are stories that deserve to be heard about people whose voices deserve to be heard. And so that like I didn't find out about it like until like the month it was gonna come out, and I loved it so much. Like I feel like I guess one of the things like I knew that Jason Reynolds got his start out in poetry, so I was super excited to read this because it was in verse, because that's how how he started out, and I haven't read any of his like poetry really, and I just kind of thought that was an interesting medium, and just like the whole concept of this whole book taking place like 60 seconds in an elevator ride from 7th floor to the bottom floor, and I really liked it. There's like the poetry, like you were saying, how it didn't really feel like it was felt like it was just like you were reading like a normal prose book. And I was thinking, like, today I was posting on Instagram about, like, how I want to see this as a movie. And how, even though you're reading it, and it's, like, there's so little words, and there's so little, like, descriptions and stuff, but you have like such a visual experience, like you can kind of imagine everything that's going on. And I think that's just like really interesting how he was able to really, you know, convey that, even though it is kind of like a very like minimalistic book. Like there's not much on the pages, there's not really much description. It's kind of like a lot of if anything, it's like some of his thoughts, and there's also like I mean, there's some like a little bit storytelling, but there's some dialogue, and there's just like not as much stuff, but it's just like such a visual book, which is really interesting. I don't know. And first impression, I don't know. I was just like interested at the beginning. I really love that opening. The opening where he's like, "This is a true story, and it's real, and it happened to me, and don't believe it's not real, whatever." What is it? Like, nobody believes that it's not the truth, but this is true. And I was just like, that's just such an interesting way to open this book. It's the first page, so I'm not spoiling you for anything. But I don't know. That was just kind of like really interesting. I was really captivated by it, and of this book actually. This is like so genius. Yeah, I guess those are like my first impressions. Anything else you want to say before we go into a spoilery section?
Yeah, I mean, I do have so much to say, but I feel like it's answering all these questions, so I'm just gonna leave it at that, and let's get into the spoilery section.
Yeah. Well, if you haven't read this book, you definitely should read this book. It'll literally take you like not very long, maybe like 2-3 hours. It's pretty fast to read. Also, the audiobook. I like always pitch the audiobook, but Jason reads the audiobook, which is really cool. Just kind of, you know, get us hear his voice and like how he intended it to be. Poetry is a very like vocal genre. I don't know, like to really like to really like get the experience, you gotta like hear it said. And so it's really cool that he read the audiobook. And I think he does a pretty good job. I mean, it's not like he doesn't do like super extreme voices, or you can tell like this is like this character and that character, but it's also just like really cool to hear him. I think the audiobook is like 2 hours long, and then he does like an interview at the end, which was really cool. So yeah, definitely read it if you haven't read it. And we're gonna go into our spoiler section. So, but first we got a question. Let's answer that first. So it's, what did you guys think about the main character's age? And this is by J. Monica. Is this Monica?
Yeah. Wait, so, in Flame of the Mist?
I don't know. It doesn't say. So I'm thinking it's about Long Way Down.
Really? I think.
Or is it about
okay, I'm very confused. So if you could clarify, I think she's talking about. I'm not sure.
Oh, like she just replied. Are you talking about Flame in the Mist, or are you talking about Long Way Down?
Wait. Okay. We'll just wait for that to come in. Because yeah, wait. I don't even remember the age of the characters in Flame of the Mist. If she's talking about Flame of the Mist.
But I mean.
Seriously?
He's 15.
Oh, Long Way Down.
Long Way Down. Okay, yeah, good.
Yeah, Long Way Down.
So what did you think of the age? He's 15.
Let me see. That year is not very far off from, from how I experienced it. So at the age of 15, honestly, I think 15, okay, I think it was kind of young, like, for him to be thinking about that. Of course, I mean, you know what I'm saying, right? Like, are we in the spoilery section yet?
Yeah, we are.
But to think about.
So, if you haven't read it, you're getting spoiled.
Yeah. So going into that, like, my brother is 14, and just thinking about how next year, if he were to think thoughts about, like, getting revenge and all that, it's like at such a young age. Like, I think that's what the book's trying to say. Like, you could be at such a young age to be thinking about, like, just having that feeling on you, if that makes any sense. I don't know. That's actually a really good question. I didn't really think of age when I was reading it, like how it played a role in the story.
I really loved, there's this thing on 228 where he's like, they weren't, what is it? You would think, it's this page, I have it, but it says, Those were real bullets, 15 total, one for every year of my life. And I thought that was just like, is such a, I don't know, just the way that he composed that poem. It's just like, I don't know, it makes you just feel something, because it's like, whoa, this kid is only 15. And I think that is part of it, is that, I guess I do feel like he is young, but at the same time, I don't feel that he is young at the same, like, I don't know. Because this is, you know, a reality that many people face, and they face it at a very young age. If they grow up in kind of a, depending on, you know, like the neighborhood and kind of the environment they grow up, they are like living in this kind of a life starting from when they are born. So like, I think it's, you know, it is really important that we do see that, like, notice that he is only 15, and this is kind of something that is happening in his life, and because it is happening to other people in this real world that we live in. Yeah, so yeah, that's what I guess that's our thoughts on his age.
Okay, so second question. Should we go to second question?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll go. Oh, do you want to go first, or should I?
You can go first. You want to read it?
I'm gonna read it. Okay. So, what do you think about the book being written in verse? What would be the advantages and disadvantages of it being written in verse? And how may the book be different if it was written in prose? So I actually read an interview. I think he was talking to like NPR or something, but he was talking about his decision to write it in verse and why he chose to do so. And I think his main point in trying to say was he wanted kids of all age to be able to read it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll be honest, books can be a lot more, like, not frightening, but kind of like overwhelming to kids. Like you know, when you're given a book to read, you're like, oh, like there's so many words. But I think in his point in doing this was that it's so, like what you said, minimalistic. It's like there's so few words on every page, but the impact that the words have is like tenfold. It's like really great. So yeah, I think he used. Like you said, he also started in poetry, so I think that's why he went back also to his, and just in general, I think what he wrote about in his interview, what he said in his interview was really important, where it's like he's trying to get more kids to read, especially younger kids, because younger kids, when reading about this topic, it's very impactful. So I think that was a good, I guess how he chose to do it. And honestly, I couldn't imagine this book being written in prose. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's definitely like it makes it so much stronger to be written in poetry. And I know that you know, poetry and like spoken word is really important in the lives of like people of color. Like, it's definitely, I feel like, a big thing, at least like, you know, where I live, that it's kind of something that's, you know, like really a part of like the culture and like how you get out your perspective and your voice. And I feel like this just like does a really great way of doing that. And, you know, like having in poetry, like when you bring it up, he really makes it more accessible for maybe people who aren't used to reading books so much. Like, you know, like he said that he didn't read a novel from start to finish until he was 17. So like making this book kind of in poetry and making it more accessible to kids, like, will really like help, I don't know, like more people like pick it up and actually read it and finish it. And because I really think this is like a story that deserves to be heard, and I feel like it really can make an impact on a lot of people's lives. And just kind of, I don't know, like, you know, poetry has like that connection to rap, where rap is like rhythm and poetry. I think that's what it's supposed to like stand for. So like just kind of like having that kind of like connection might kind of like make it more accessible to certain groups of people who maybe not are into like reading as much, and, you know, kind of like help them, you know, see that their voice does like exist, and maybe inspire them to do stuff on their own. And I think it's, you know, like really great. I can't really picture it in prose. I feel like it just wouldn't have that same impact that poetry has. And it is like free verse poetry, so it's like, you know, not super like rhymey or whatever. A lot of new poetry is like free verse, but it's just kind of like really interesting. You can like dissect it more. You know, like there's more. Even though it is minimalistic, it says like the same amount of stuff, but it really makes you think. Like, I feel like poetry is a genre that really forces you to think a lot and reflect on the words and, like, you know, different ways that you can interpret things. And I feel like that really gets the topic across really well.
Yeah, another thing is just in general, like, another thing just in general was I needed to point out that this book, like I said, I was in kind of a rush to finish it, because I was reading it last night, and you know, with all, they've been prose, they've been like 300 or more pages, and it takes more than just one sitting to read. But the thing about this one was I was able to finish it in under like 2 hours, which was amazing. And just knowing that, like, you know how a lot of people, they go into reading, they don't want it to take so much of their time, or they don't read as fast as other people. But I think this is a great book that kind of person, if you wanted to read more about something important and you didn't have the time or whatever, this is like the perfect book. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, I know. I love that it's in poetry. And then, you know, like the whole thing where he was like, this was too long ago, but he definitely like mentioned that because like at the end of the audiobook, there's a little interview with the author, and he really talked about like why he did it in poetry, and like I don't remember what he was saying, but it made a lot of sense. And I feel like, you know, it fits with the story and how it takes place in 60 minutes in an elevator. And I think maybe he mentioned something about like how it's like kind of reflects your thoughts, and how your thoughts may not is not like in, you know, complete sentences and like whatever kind of a thing. And poetry definitely like gets that across. I feel like it's like more relaxed with grammar and language, and yeah.
Yes. Oh my god, that's.
Or do you want to say something?
Okay, go ahead.
Next question.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Do you think William is right in going after Shawn's killer to avenge his death? That's a heavy question.
Ooh, that's such a hard question.
I mean, revenge doesn't solve the problem ever. I'm writing a book about revenge. So I feel like, you know, I mean, we all know that morally it is not right to go and, one, get revenge, two, to actually kill somebody. And you know, like this whole situation isn't right either, because his brother shouldn't have gotten killed. So I don't know how to answer this question, but like, you know, you can definitely understand where he's coming from when he's grown up with the rules, and the rules say you have to get revenge. And I don't know what kind of answer that is. Alex, do you have any thoughts on that?
Oh, okay. Thanks. So like you said, it's hard to understand where he's coming from, because of course, I mean, I personally have never felt that much in pain where I wanted to go out and kind of find avenge, you know, a family or relative. But honestly, I'll just be totally honest, like, I don't think violence can solve violence. Like, does that make sense? Yeah. Violence doesn't solve violence. Even though revenge may be tempting, I feel like that's why he wrote this book, you know, because some people might have grown up with that kind of mindset, but I think he needed to write this book. And I used like relatives and family members to be the people who kind of snap some sense back into William, because it is those people that are going to make the most meaningful impact on his decision. So I think that was such a huge thing. I was like analyzing every part of this book, but yeah, just in general, no, I do not think he was right in going after.
Yeah, that just like brings up something. So this book, when he wrote the dedication, it was like something in the audiobook interview. And it's dedicated.
Yeah, I read about that too.
It says, for the young brothers and sisters in detention centers around the country, the ones I've seen and the ones I haven't, you are loved. And so in his interview, he was talking about how he went to like juvenile detention centers, and he talked to some of the kids, and how the reason why they are in these centers is because they're part of feuds that started a long time ago, that they don't even really know what it's about. And I feel like that's, you know, like a really important like thing. It's like, you know, like if they're like a part of like a not very good group and like you know, trying to get revenge for this feud that happened forever ago. You don't even know what it's about, and you like, but you like grow up in this kind of like environment, and just I don't know. That was, I guess that was like something that he brought up into in the interview. I don't remember exactly like the rest of the stuff that he said, but it was kind of, you know, the idea was a bit like sparked from that, and I don't know. I feel like that really does like, you know, adds a lot of like, it's important to note. I guess when you're reading this book, I guess, and I don't know where I went with this. Did you say you said reread something about our interview?
Yeah, so the NPR interview that I listened to, Jason Reynolds actually lost one of his best friends.
Yeah, that too.
To gun violence. Yeah, so that was really meaningful, I think, into writing this book. I think he had the right kind of like, he had that, I guess, anger. Well, he said, yeah, in his interview, he said he had that kind of anger, and he felt like when that happened, he felt like time stood still, and he felt like there was nothing, like the pain would never go away. But I think definitely writing this book, it's not only about talking about gun violence, it's talking about how when something like this happens, the pain's gonna go away. Like, you're not gonna feel this way forever, even though it feels like at that moment in time, like you're gonna be like this forever, because you're just so angry and you're so sad. So yeah, I think that's important.
Yeah, there's just so much in this book, more than like the words. It's just like so interesting. I don't know. I'm really glad we picked it.
You made me, oh my god, you just made me, Jason Reynolds, 2 of his books, I think, our All American Boys live show was the longest live show we've ever done, and I have a feeling this is also going to be the same, but just in general, like, his books spark so much of a conversation, like, it's so unreal. I've never had so many feelings about it, like, a single book, so that's interesting.
All American Boys is, like, our most watched one, too, which is cool.
Yes, and I think this one is also, I think everyone, even though you don't see it talked about as much, I think Jason Reynolds, when people hear his name, they know that he's like that author that kind of is like that, the one that's not like as like talked about, but it's kind of like that one where it's like he's the gem, he's the award winner, that kind of stuff. So it's interesting.
I just like want to shove this into everybody's hand. Like, I work at the library, I'm just like, read this. I just want to shove all his books in everyone's hands, because I just like, feel like it's so important. And I live in this like really diverse community, and I just kind of, you know, want to just to know that it exists, because I feel like these are really good stories, and they like deserve to be read. And yeah. Okay, next question. You got it.
So, what do you think of the graphics on each page, and how do they contribute? I don't know what. Oh, I read this question. I didn't know what graphics you were talking about. Are you talking about the one on?
I told you my second like batch of questions sucked, but for each person, we have like different kind of imagery on the pages. It's not really like graphics, like pictures, but like there are different characteristics to the page. So like what number is this?
Yeah, I understand. Like, my second time reading this, my second time looking at the pages, I was like, what are all these like scratch thingies? Yeah, like, I would know
scratches and different kind of whatever.
And they're like, that's actually an interesting
doors. So like, I have the one for 7. So 7's got these like these lines or whatever. I don't know. I kind of imagine it as like glue. And, like, they peeled out the thing, so now these are just, like, glue marks on there. And then if you go on to maybe, okay, 6 is, like, a little too subtle. I think this is 5.
Oh, my God, you know what would be so
5? It's kind of like this.
Yeah.
I guess I imagine this as kind of like brushed steel, which is kind of like what you got. Not this, but, like, kind of like a brushed steel kind of a look. And I don't know. I thought it was interesting to know it. I didn't know what to ask about it, but what do you think?
Okay, I have a theory, all right? Hang in there. So I think these are like what, like, he went to elevators and he like took a picture of the texture and like put it in his book. That sounds so stupid. But I thought you were talking about page 296, where this kind of graphic, where he does this kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, I used to read poetry all the time when I was a kid where authors would kind of like, you know how they would put words in a certain shape? So like, let's say if it was a love poem in the shape of, fell in love with those, like, I don't know, they're just aesthetically pleasing, but also they have a lot of like meaning, and it's kind of like your eyes are following the picture. So that was pretty cool, and talking about that, but that's an interesting question you brought up.
I mean, the thing with poetry is definitely like how you present it as well. Like, you know, some poems, like, we got this whole blank page here, and then half a blank page, and then we get the poem. But some of them, like, the poem starts, like, right at the top. Or, like, why would you, like, that's kind of also something to analyze, too, is, like, just, like, the way it's formatted, which is interesting. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, like, what did you think about, did you have any thoughts on the image, like, the graphics, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, like, I'm not as pro poetry of a poet as you are, because I know you read a lot of poetry, but also you write, right? I heard, like, you write poetry.
I write, but I
no, you don't? You write poetry? No, I would assume. But, okay, so just in general, you read a lot more poetry than I, and I don't recall reading a lot of poetry, only when I was, like, a kid and reading, like, Shel Silverstein.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess I've done like
so
a bit of poetry in school.
Yeah, I think just in general it changed things up for me reading. As a reader, you know, you're used to the same thing, you know, text on pages, especially for us book people in the community. We literally read like how many books in a year? So we're used to seeing that whole thing of just narrative style, straight, blank and forth. So I think this is a nice wake up, refreshing. And yeah, his whole creative process was so cool. I mean, look at that. It's a freaking question mark of questions. It's like, yeah, I just think that's so. Next question.
I guess I'll answer. I think it's just like really interesting to see how it changes for every floor, and just kind of I was like trying to connect it. Like, why are we having this? Because everything is done on purpose. I guess when you're analyzing, that's kind of like the mindset you go in. It's like everything in this book is done like on purpose by the author to convey some kind of a meaning. And like, so I don't know. It's just kind of like interesting to think of, or just to look at and kind of try to find a connection to it. Like, I don't know, they're just like, it's not really like significant kind of a graphics on there, like here's a page, but it's like, it's there, so it's got to mean something. Yeah. It's there for a reason. And I don't know what, like I said, my second batch of questions sucked, so.
No, I mean, you know, no. Now that you say that, I was looking through it a little. Look at the graphics on page 90 compared to the graphics on, say, page like 295. Like the scratch marks, or I'm gonna call them scratch marks, are a lot more like larger like that, but the ones on 295 are a lot more just like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just less. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's very weird, but it's also scratch marks are a lot more like larger.
Oh my god! What does that mean?
A lot more just like. That's my fault. Sorry.
That's okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. That was interesting just to look at. If you have any theories, send them our way.
We can talk to yourself.
What? Okay, let's look at me. Sorry. Why? 5. Why do you think everyone smokes when they get on the elevator? Does the smoke itself have any significance? Now that was a good question.
Oh shoot! I do not know. Okay.
Someone brought up on Instagram maybe answer to this. And I'll pull it up when Alex is talking. But I don't know. I just thought that was like really interesting. And maybe the smoke is supposed to be kind of like the visual like meaning of smoke. It's like, you know, it clouds your, like it makes things not clear. And it's kind of like how like this whole situation, it's like, it's not like there's no clear answer to this. There's no like clear thing of what he's gonna do, and like it just kind of like an aesthetic kind of a thing where I don't know. But I thought it was like interesting. Like everyone gets on and they like light up a cigarette, and then the next person gets on, and it's just kind of, I don't know. I don't know like, how it ties into the story. I guess that's maybe my theory, or else I don't know. I guess you know, like kind of a metaphor, like a symbolism for like what his mind state is like. All this like very clouded thoughts, and yeah. Do you have any ideas?
I mean, yeah, this is totally the reason why I assigned you to do the questions. I had thought about that when I was reading it, and I was first like, wait, why are they all smoking? And I actually agree with what you're saying, because throughout this entire story, their purpose and role in this book, those ghosts of like the past, they're basically clouding Will's judgment and changing the way he thinks in order like to approach the situation. So I think you're right. Like, that smoke could have been actual smoke clouding his judgment, which I think is a good theory. And wait, what did you say about that comment? Someone commented. What did they say?
I'm looking it up right now.
I'm curious.
Because I know that someone did comment on one of our set of questions, and they had some like really cool things to say.
Yeah, I mean, because I generally did, things when I first read a book. This book, when I first read it, the first read over, it was kind of just like the impact of the story, what the story was trying to teach me. That's with all books, I think. But when you give it a second read, that you notice things like that, and that's really interesting, actually.
Okay.
Cigarette.
Yeah, it wasn't on this question. It was on the last set. But I don't know. Let's just like send us your theories as well. I just want to like know, because it's like there's no really like clear answer to what this can mean, but I think it's just like really interesting, and I don't know, kind of like it makes me think of the brain, because it's like smoke is gray and like the brain is, I don't know, I don't think the brain is that exactly gray, but I picture it as gray. I don't know, but it's just like I don't know, it's just like interesting, and plus the whole stigma around smoking, which I thought was interesting. Like, why are they smoking in an elevator? That's like the one thing you're not supposed to do with elevators, like smoke.
Oh my god.
So that's interesting to think of too. I don't know. Okay, you got the next question.
Okay. 6. Do you think Will is going to follow through with his goal of revenge? Do you mean midway when we were reading it, right? While we were reading? Because
I mean, it's never really clear the ending either.
Yeah, true. Oh my god, that's so true. Like, wait, they went out of, am I wrong in saying they went out of the elevator, right?
Yeah.
But like, where did they stop, Did they go back up? Did they freaking go back down? What was he saying? So yeah, that ending kind of left me a little bit like, tell me what's happened.
Yeah, that's a question later on. So, but do you think he's gonna follow through?
Oh, great. Okay. Yeah, just in general, because of what happened in the elevator, I don't think he's gonna go through with it. Especially the impact of the people who were there in the elevator. The killer, right? The killer of Buck.
Yeah.
Was in. Yeah, and that was so powerful, that moment. I loved how, like, the people, it wasn't just, like, at first when I was reading it, I thought it was about, like, family and stuff. Oh, his family was coming. But just the people that he put in the elevator with him was so freaking well done. Like, I loved it. But yeah, I don't think he was gonna go through with it, so.
Do you have a question? I didn't even have a question on that. Like, why did he choose, like, these certain people to come on the elevator?
We can talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll use on my extra questions. Like, we have 12 questions, and I have like 4 extra questions, but I don't know. Like, what do you think of like why each person gets on the elevator?
Well, I think so. Out of all the people that got on, it was really interesting to see that the father. Wait, I'm trying to like messed up here. The father went after the killer of his brother. Yeah. Like the father's. So I think that was interesting to see, because straight from reading this, you don't know that it's something. I think that kind of brings the message where gun violence is pretty prevalent, and the rules that they've grown up with is something that's kind of been passed down, which was a huge statement in this, and it's kind of like something that's ingrained in their minds. But yeah, I think, and even on honestly was when Shawn walked into that elevator, because reading this book, like, I didn't expect him to be one of the people that were going to be in the elevator with him. So that was really, that was a really powerful part. But yeah, what about you?
I don't know. It's just kind of like interesting to see how, I guess one thing that ties them together is like the rules, how the rules has like, and like gun violence is like, is connected to each person in this story. Cause like the girl who gets on second, I don't remember her name. What's her name? But it was like a childhood friend of his.
Yeah, Danny.
What? Danny, I think that's her name. Which is like interesting to see, cause like she wasn't really in like the rules thing. And she was the reason why his brother told him about the rules, because he was crying about it, and then about her dying, and then his brother, that was like when he told Will about the rules.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it's just kind of like an interesting to think about, like, you know, like why everyone got in the elevator, like how everyone's connected, because like, you know, some of these people weren't really a part of his life, or weren't like as connected as I thought they were gonna be, like, because I knew it was gonna be like people from the past that were already dead getting on the elevator, so I was like, you know, like thought that there were gonna be people like pretty close to him, but also just like the idea, there's 7 people, right? 7 people that get on this elevator, or like 6. Like 6 people or 6
wait,
like on the elevator in his life who have died because of like gun violence, and just kind of like that impact of that. Just to think about it, that's 6 people that he knows. He's only 15 and has had to like kind of live through all of this trauma and stuff, and it's just like, wow. And then you think about, this is what happens to people in real life, and how that can like affect a person. It's just really, it's really profound. I don't know. Yeah.
Yes, Monica's saying, she commented again. She says, I don't think he will follow through, but maybe, but things can, because sometimes anger can blind people. I think that's a huge thing in this book, which I thought was interesting to read about. Yes, anger can blind people, and I think his purpose in writing this book was also to show, like in his interview, he said he wanted to emphasize that it's happened to him. He's had that kind of blind anger before, and he wanted to emphasize how it feels in that moment like it's gonna last forever, but there are people, like, obviously, who are there to help him and who are kind of gonna change his mind, talk some sense into him. So I think that's a huge thing. Another message with this book. But yeah, wait, I also want to talk about something. So so when you first read this book, it takes place in an elevator, and did you have that question? Was that one of your questions?
Like, why is it in the elevator?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's number 12.
Okay, so like,
we can talk about it now.
Oh yeah. Okay, so yeah, because since we're talking about the elevator in general, okay, what I thought about in the elevator. Okay, this is just one thing. I don't know if anyone else feels this way in an elevator, but like I feel mad claustrophobic. Like,
yeah,
like just I feel so like tight, and all my because when you're in an elevator, you know that quietness. You just start thinking about
the whole rules of the elevator.
So I think
about you get on the elevator, you check if your button's pushed, and you stand and stare at the door and never talk to anybody.
Yeah, and you kind of are able to think about all these things in your mind, that like the deepest thoughts in your mind, which I think was kind of the point of putting in this elevator. And what's also I find really cool is he also puts timestamps of the I can't find them now, but you can see it took place in the matter of how many seconds? Like
60 seconds.
Yeah, 60 seconds. So like in that time, just the amount of thoughts that he had, it felt like it took way longer than that, like at least like 20 minutes or an hour. And I think that was really cool part of reading the book. And see, like Belinda said, everything he does is for a reason, which I think is super cool. So yeah, what about you?
I think what he was saying, I think in the interview that I listened to, was that, you know, it's a small enclosed space, and it kind of, you know, like reflects your mind. I don't know if he'd say that it reflects your mind, but it was like, I think he said something about how like an elevator is like an enclosed in a small space, and something about, I should have listened to it again, but I don't know, I think it's like genius this whole book, I feel like it's just like ingenious. Like I don't even know how I came up with it, because it's just like, it's so good. There's so much to talk about, and there's just like everything he does in here is like it's for a reason. And I love how it's set in an elevator. How you're like, elevators will be like forever changed for me after reading this book. But I just like, it just wouldn't have the same impact as it would if it was like, I guess like if it was on the stairs, because that's the other alternative. How is he gonna get from the 7th floor to the bottom floors? Like, and that would have been like not the same thing at all. Like, can you imagine that? You just get to the landing and there's like some ghost in there.
What the heck?
Yeah, so I don't know. I definitely think that I guess I was gonna say, it's like, you know, it is an enclosed space, and he like brought up, you know, like the rules of the elevators. Like, you get there, you push your button, and then you just like stare at the door. You never talk to anybody, and it's just kind of like interesting. Like, it gives you time for reflection when you're on the elevator. Although now everyone gets on the elevator and just pulls out their phone. But I don't know, it's just like interesting. Like, the whole idea, it is like, you know, an enclosed space, and it all happens in a minute, and I don't know where I'm going with this, but I just like really loved how he did that, and I think it's just like such a great idea, and it really like conveys the idea of the story. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. Do you want to go to the 7th question? Are you saying it?
7th question. Oh wait, I didn't even answer the 6th question. Do you think he's gonna fall on Nicola's revenge? I hope he doesn't. It's like, it definitely is not. Whether, because like at the end, of course, he gets off the elevator and it's like, that's it. Which I feel like a lot of his books end. Yeah. It like ends and it's always an open ending, and I'm like, oh, it's not a resolution. But I guess we can come up with our own ending. Yeah, I don't know. Just kind of like, I have some of these questions later on that like are a part of this, but I really hope he doesn't follow through with it, because I think, you know, his idea of the rules definitely changes like once like he's gone on the elevator. He's kind of seen how like the rules have results, like what has been like the result of the rules on everyone's life, and that's kind of like they ended up dead. And that's like potentially like what can happen to Will if he follows through with it, and like how his brother like breaks the rules and his brother gets on and he's crying. That's like one of our questions later. But I really hope he doesn't. Like, I can't say that he does or doesn't for sure, but I really just hope that he doesn't. Yeah. And what do you think about like having that so open?
The open ending?
Don't know for sure.
Here, let's. Okay, wait. I just want to. Okay, I'm gonna like say. I can't say it any better than Jason Reynolds himself. But in this interview, he says, I'm so totally quoting him. It says. Okay, but this particular book is almost like a social experiment. It has less to do about this young person, but it's about what you bring to the page, because you get to make certain decisions, which is what we're talking about. And those decisions are literally about what you think about your life, your prejudices, and your experiences. They all affect how this book ends. So it varies in every single person's kind of upbringing, what they've been taught, what they've experienced, which I think is it's so unique and just so thoughtful of the author himself to do that. I think, to put it, because he can't really decide what's going to happen. It's like we as a people, like our morals and everything, our values are going to play into this. And I think that's something that happens with a lot of books. You know, when, you know those moments, oh, I don't like this book because I didn't like the ending, right? Like, you have those moments. So I think in this book, he kind of wanted you to choose it, to have the freedom to do so, because in a lot of ways, in other books, we don't have the freedom to choose. So I think that was really impactful. Yeah, just everything. I also read like the author summary in the back, and everything is just making me super crazy about this author. So do I have another book by him?
Yeah. That's like a really interesting thing that you brought up. I feel like that says a lot, because it's kind of, you know, like letting the author decide you know, not the author, the reader decide what happens, and why, like, what you decide is based off of what you've grown up with, and, you know, like, what you believe, what are your morals and your ethics, which is, like, really interesting. Because I definitely think that this book, like, the purpose of this book is to make you, the reader, think and reflect, and just kind of, like, open up your perspective, which is just, I don't know, it's just, this book is so genius. I love it. Okay.
Oh my god. Yeah, I agree.
Oh, you're
wait. Also, Monica says again. Monica says she hates the elevator. I was thinking maybe it's because an elevator will eventually stop, and so will his anger and problems. So that makes, I understand what she's saying. She's saying, like, it's kind of a metaphor for his anger. Like, at the end, when the elevator comes to a stop, when he gets to the floor, his desired floor, his anger is kind of like that. Like, he's at that certain point, which I think is such an interesting point to make up. And yeah, I hate the elevator too.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, that's a really good, like, it was really great to, like, you know, have her with us. It's really great that you're joining us and, like, actually talking with us, because that's definitely a perspective that I did not consider when we were talking about that. That's really interesting, like, how, you know, like, an elevator does, like, eventually stop. So it's kind of like a big metaphor. Yeah, I take the elevator because I don't want to climb the stairs. Like that,
wow.
Like the elevator I take every day to my computer science class, which is on the 3rd floor, and I'm like, nah, I'm not taking the stairs for that. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning. Nope.
Well, look what I just found.
Yeah. Oh, you own his book?
I know, I'm gonna freak out right now. Why is this in my bookshelf? I have no idea. I forgot where I got this from, but okay, keep going.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of elevators either. They make me sick. So, like, I can't do anything. I
always just have
a stare at the door. So, but yeah, they make me sick, but I take them all the time because I'm lazy. Okay, so next question. Here's another crappy question by me, because I couldn't think of anything. How do the anagrams connect to the story? Yeah, I don't know. This is a crappy question, but I thought it was just, like, really cool how he has the anagrams. Like, I have some. I think I marked all of them, but I marked a lot of things. So I don't know. One of them is, like, on page 88, where he's like, anagram number 1, alive equals avail, which I think is actually, you know, really interesting to think about. And maybe that connects to the whole smoke thing, because, like, smoke is, like, kind of like veil, and you, like, can't see some stuff in a way. And being alive, it's like being alive and you're not seeing the truth and stuff. I mean, you're, like, blinded because you're behind a veil. Just, I don't know, interesting. Or else, like, the one that's, like, Iceman. I marked them all. What is the one?
Ooh, yes, and then at the end, there's, like, another one where Where is it?
We're, like, looking up anagrams. This is so, I don't know. It was just, like, I thought it was just, like, an interesting thing that he put on there. Anagram. Oh, and his, like, one of his last anagrams is, like, right here. Page 276. It's like, I wish I knew an anagram for poser, which is, I don't know, it's kind of interesting to think about, I feel like. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I honestly, oh my god, this is like me. I just don't find significance in things. Like, look, when I read it, like I said, this is my first read, and I just kind of, like, brush it off. But yeah, I also think what he mentioned in the beginning, where he explicitly said, like, oh, sometimes anagrams can have similar meanings that have to go with each other. So I think that was something that I never kind of realized. I thought it was always just about, I think it's something everyone kind of thinks, like, it's just about making another word using the letters that you have, but sometimes we don't see that they have similar meaning. Oh, and also, I just want to say something, y'all, okay? Like, I totally, after reading this book, or during reading this book, when he said, like, he couldn't find an anagram for poser, I'm like, I know an anagram for poser, and I was thinking about prose. Prose is an anagram for poser.
Oh,
and yeah, so that, I don't know, it was just everything, like you said, everything that he does in this book is just so, like, so well thought out, and I just think that was really cool. Just, like, seeing that connection, it was instantly, like, oh my god, we were talking about that and shit. Like, so yeah, that was interesting. Interesting question, Belinda. Very interesting.
Find the Iceman one. I swear I have it marked.
Yeah, I didn't mark all of them, but I understand. I remember which one.
I found number 3, which is cool equals loco, which is, I don't know. I think that's interesting because it's like, what is coolness? Like, really, what does it mean to be cool? It's, I don't know. That's just kind of interesting. Feel equals
such hard hitting. Oh, I found it. It's on page 188.
Cinema equals Iceman. And he's like, I don't know what Iceman is, but it makes me think of bad dudes, cold-blooded. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like
that
really
was interesting.
Like these little things, and I'm sure they like mean something because they put it in a book, and I don't know. So maybe I guess it wasn't a correct question. Do you want to ask the next one?
Okay. 9. Why would Will's father put a gun to his head?
Wait, no, we got number 8. We didn't get there yet.
What? 8, right? 8. Oh, sorry. What is the significance of the story of Will's father and uncle? Yeah, honestly, okay, so for that part, I just thought it was kind of like a wake-up call to him that this is not something that's happening exclusively to him. It's happened to someone very close to him, and the fact that he didn't know that it happened to his father and his uncle. So I think it's another thing. But I don't remember, did the father end up killing the guy, getting revenge? No, oh yeah! Oh my god, he killed the wrong person. And that was, remember?
Yeah.
Oh my god, so that was a thing. Yeah, so basically, if people don't, I mean, you should be coming here if you already read the book, but the father basically killed the wrong person in his journey to revenge in order to get revenge on the person who he thought had killed his brother. But I think that was another wake-up call to Will himself in saying that, like, how do you know this guy's the right guy? You're not giving any, like, proof. You're just saying that you know it's him because he has some sort of connection or some history with Shawn. So I think that was a huge thing in kind of waking up Will being like, oh, am I actually doing the right thing in going after this guy who I think is the killer? So, yeah.
Yeah, that was my thought as well. Oh gosh, my brother's calling me. Sorry, dude, I'm gonna hang up on you. I'm in a live show right now. But like another person, Luna Fox Reads, actually replied to our post on Instagram, which is, you know, like where we have all these questions when we do our read along. And she said, I assume the significance of the father and uncle story was its parallel with Shawn and Will, the cyclical nature of violence and how the sons are repeating the actions of the generation before. It also could be a sign that Riggs is innocent, especially once we hear of the dad's mistake. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely like that was, I guess that was kind of what I was aiming for with the questions. I think it is kind of like a wake-up call to Will, and it's like, you know, are you sure this is the right guy? Because I didn't get the right guy. And plus it's kind of like the reality of like, oh my gosh, why do you keep calling me, brother? No. The whole thing is that it's happened for generations. It's not just like them, right? Like it's not just Will and his brother right now. It happened to his parents before. Okay, can you talk? I'm gonna answer my brother's phone.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'm reading an interview here. It says Will's father's ghost is trying to explain the circumstances surrounding his death so his son will not repeat his mistakes. It was a painful reminder of the price of revenge, that it isn't always justice, and so yeah, that's from an interview or someone analyzing his piece. But yeah, I think that's pretty much on point with what we said. He wants to remind his son that his feelings of anger are clouding his sense of judgment and the way he's going about this, because even though he may be going after revenge, and there is a price for what he does, like the outcome of what he's gonna do, whether it's the right person or not. So I think it's a reminder.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, I don't know. I think it was just like it was such an interesting thing to have that be a part of this story because it's like the same thing that happened to his dad and his uncle is what's happening with him and his brother. And it definitely, like, it is a reason. Like, I feel like he did it really on purpose because it's like his dad and his brother, and it's kind of like reflects his relationship with his own brother, which is just interesting. Okay, next question, number 9, finally. Why would Will's father put a gun to his head? I was not expecting this, like, at all, that was gonna happen.
Yeah.
And we actually got a reply on that by the same Unifox Reads, and she said that I think that Will's father put the gun to his head in a sort of foreshadowing, letting him know where he would end up if he kept following the rules, since there is always someone else who knows the rules. I don't know. I think that's just like definitely like. I think I was like thinking about it, and I like read her response, and I'm like, yeah, I think I definitely like agree with this, because it's like if Will follows through with this, like he pretty much can end up dead, because that's what's happened with his dad and his uncle, was that his dad got revenge on his uncle, and his dad ended up getting shot and killed. So I think that's kind of like a warning to his son, and I mean he could have done it like not in that way, but I think it definitely like makes it really real, because like at that moment Will was really, really terrified that his dad was actually gonna shoot him, and I think it just kind of like makes the situation kind of trying to pull him back into reality, because like you've been saying like how throughout this book Will is like just like so blinded by his anger and like cloud. Oh, that's the thing you like said, cloud, the word clouded, and I was like, yes, the smoke is kind of like a cloud, and like clouds is thought, and definitely like another like metaphor for that. But kind of to show him just kind of like the really stark reality, like the cold hard reality of what this decision can lead to. What do you think?
Yeah, okay, so yeah, that's also a huge thing when that happened. Like you said, it kind of woke him up, because I actually wasn't thinking about, oh my god, that's actually a really good point that commenter brought up, that the cycle would repeat because anyone else who knew the rules, like let's say let's say he ends up killing, like shooting Riggs, like the person Riggs in the same who had the same relationship to Riggs as Will did with Shawn might go after Will for revenge, and it might repeat the cycle. But I didn't actually think of that happening. Like I didn't think that if he did end up killing Riggs that he would end up as a target. I thought that he would end up at like jail or a detention center. So that's interesting that he brings it up, and yeah, I think that's also a wake-up call, just to remind him that your anger comes with like the consequences of your actions. You have to consider that, even though you may feel in that moment like extreme anger and pain. But yeah,
and I was just thinking like maybe it's kind of like his dad wants him to know what it feels like to be on the other side of the gun. Like, are you really prepared to do this? Because like if you're gonna be the one that's gonna pull the trigger on this person, he wants his son to feel like what it's like to be on the other side of the gun. And I feel like that like that definitely, like it's like in any decision, like any time like you're like really angry and something, like it's really important to put yourself on like that other perspectives, or like anything really, like so always like think of the other perspective, the other side, the other person, and like that really makes a pretty significant impact on like your choices and your thoughts or whatever. Okay, next question.
Oh my god, I definitely think, wait, just to say that again, like yeah, I definitely think that's a huge thing to say, because it's easy for someone to say like I'm gonna like get revenge on this person because I'm super angry right now, but it's another thing to actually go through with it and do it, because like I know people don't see a lot in this, but like it actually takes guts to, like, when you actually go out and like murder someone, let's say, like there are actual repercussions and you feel a certain way after doing that. So I think that's something that he doesn't consider at first, but through talking to everyone who's experienced it, he kind of understands that. So okay,
yeah, and
next question.
This apply to murder, but like in any situation, it's like to try to like put yourself on the other side It's just like, it's really important to do that. Especially when you're feeling like really heightened, intense emotions, like of any kind, of whether it be like anger or like, you know, frustration or like kind of like, I guess this is more negative emotions, but it's really important, especially when you are like gonna act on it. Hopefully you're not gonna murder anybody, but like even if you're just kind of like you are feel like you're really angry at someone, to put yourself in their like their shoes or something, like it's just, I feel like that's a really impactful thing that he did there. I'm really glad I thought about that. Okay.
Yeah, I just think a lot of things are easier said than done. You know, that cute catchphrase that everyone says. It's easy to say something, it's a whole other thing to do it. So yeah, good lesson. A lot of morals with this book. This book keeps giving us.
You gotta ask.
Okay, next question. Wow, this next question. Okay, 10. Why do you think Shawn gets on the elevator just as it's closing? Why doesn't he react to Will at first? Whoa, okay. Belinda is obviously has a lot more experience analyzing Jason Reynolds' work, because you're like picking out the tiny, like you said, like he has a reason for everything. Like you're picking out the tiny stuff. Okay, I did not even like notice this. I'm such a bad reader.
Questions reading this. There's just like, why? I just want to know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just. Okay, answer it. Yeah.
You go. No, I don't. Oh, no, you answer it. I don't know how to answer this question. I need to think about this.
I don't know. It's just like, okay, so when I'm coming up with questions, I just kind of like think of, you know, like what is interesting and why is it interesting, and it's I don't know, because like he gets on the elevator just as it's about to close. Like Will is like, okay, phew, oh, this elevator's gonna close, no more ghosts are coming on, we're gonna get to level L and follow through with whatever plans that I'm on. Because I mean, definitely when he gets, even the like on second floor was when his brother gets on. I still think he's very conflicted about whether he's gonna follow through with this or not. I don't think like it's set in stone that he's gonna not follow through with this, even though like we don't actually know what's gonna happen. But theoretically, I feel like he still is like unsure about it at this point, because I don't know, and I just like that he gets on there like last minute. I don't know. I just feel like that's just kind of interesting. I guess the also thing is like whenever I look for things, I'm like I like patterns, looking at patterns, and whenever you see something that breaks the pattern, that is something like that's important. That's like something like you want to think about, because it's like there's a pattern established. Like everyone gets on the elevator. Like kind of right away, and everyone ends up smoking. That's a pattern that like happens, and like you think about like, you know, why when he changes the pattern, like why did he change the pattern, for what reason, and what does this mean? I'm just like talking through the question and not answering it. I don't know. I just think it's so interesting, like how he gets on like as the elevator is closing. Like I don't know why. Maybe it's his reluctance. But I guess everyone's reluctant to die. Maybe he's just like not ready to get on the elevator, and I don't even know. Like this is like kind of going into like what this ending totally means. Like maybe he's not ready to die, and so he doesn't want to get on the elevator. Why does he ignore his brother? Like I don't know. Why does he ignore his brother? Like it seems like he doesn't even know like his brother's there. Like maybe his whole like. He just died, so maybe he hasn't set in that he's dead yet. And so like he's like doesn't know to get on the elevator at the right time, or like maybe he just like I don't know. It's just a hard question, and I don't know the answer to it. Do you have any ideas?
Yeah, I think that plays into what you're saying. So I understand. So you're saying like because this elevator was filled with dead people, right? Like it was kind of like he didn't at that time, like we don't see like you would expect, right? You would be like, okay, this elevator is about people who have either died and are talking to him, reminding him. You would expect Shawn to like be one of the first ones because he has the most impact, especially since he's getting revenge for his brother. But I think what you say makes a lot of sense, where he kind of like has not accepted yet that he's getting revenge on his brother and that his brother has died. But then when his brother does come in, it's kind of like the last chance for him to kind of get that sense get sent back into him, and I don't know, like you said, just think a lot more into his actions and the repercussions of them. But yeah, that's a good question, man.
I don't know. It's like Shawn notices everyone else, and everyone else like sees Shawn, and he just like does not recognize that. He doesn't like see that Will is there. Like Will hugs him, and like he doesn't hug him back. And
yeah,
I don't know. It's just like really interesting to think of like what it means. If I ever meet Jason Reynolds again, I'm gonna like ask him like, what does it mean? Because it's like I have no answer to it.
I really hope he comes. You know what I hope? Oh my god, I hope that if next year next year since I'm going to Minnesota, if there's a book event there and we both like, hey, Jason, we're
your biggest fans.
We've like talked in our book club. Yeah, that's interesting though.
Or I guess, I don't have a question about him crying. What do you think about that too? How Shawn cries.
Let's see. Okay, do you think, like, just into that question where Shawn kind of ignores him, do you think Shawn's upset at Will for kind of going like this route, following this kind of getting revenge? And I mean, I don't know. That's just a question of popular opinion. But yeah,
I don't know. Maybe the whole fact like that he cries kind of gives you a hint, because like Will learned the rules from his brother Shawn, but here's Shawn breaking the rules. So maybe that means that the rules should not be followed. I mean, I think the whole idea was the rules.
Yes, yeah. So the rules, that means
for someone's death by killing somebody else. That's not the way. That's not the answer. Maybe that's like the whole. Man, I forgot what where I was going. Like, what did you ask?
No, I understand. So you're saying because Shawn broke the rules, he's kind of in front of Will. He's trying to show to Will that the rules maybe don't always apply or aren't always like the best way to go about stuff. Yeah. Oh my god.
Well, I mean,
yeah, I think that's
it definitely makes him question the rules, because we get the whole like the rules are right, and we never get an answer to that. And then I don't know, because it's like it's interesting because he's always insistent that he's not crying. Like he gets like one tear. I was like, this is not crying because it's only one tear. It does not count. Just kind of like that whole insistence on the rule. And here comes his brother Shawn, who is like sobbing, and he's doing this all because of the rules that Shawn told him about, which is, I don't know, it was just kind of like interesting. And we're talking about Shawn ignoring him, right?
Yeah, you came up with a lot of good theories.
I don't even know. It's just, I don't even know. I just want answers, and there's none, and I can't think of any. Maybe I just gotta read.
That's why we do this. You're gonna read again? Yeah, I think this is a lot of
third time. That's maybe third time the charm. Probably won't be.
That's why just bringing it up and reading it with other people is really great, and just having like people to talk to who've commented on our stuff, like just the input in there. Everyone, it's not even like oh, majority, the person who thinks like of what everyone thinks is right. It's basically what you think is right. This book is, I think what he wanted everyone to do, especially with that open ending, was kind of like, oh, it's you decide what's right and wrong, and you decide what you take out of the story. So I love his message. Even that it was even the same in All American Boys. It's kind of like you take what you will from the story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should we go to the next question?
Yes. You're the next question.
Okay. Am I the next question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 11. What do you think that ending means? Gosh, this ending. I finished it and I was like, what are you talking about? You can't just end like this. Like the ending. Sorry, spoiler if you haven't read the book. It says, you coming? And I'm like, what? Why is this done? I don't know. This can't be done, because it's like, we don't know what he does. And it's like, we don't know if he gets, we don't know if he gets off the elevator in the first place, which is interesting. We talked about, okay, so the whole, like, our question number 12 is like, why do you think the author chose to set this in the elevator? And we did talk about it a little before, but I just found something that was really interesting. And I kind of want to weave it into my answer for this. But on page 302, where he, okay, so there's a part where he says, crowded in this cell, this coffin, this elevator, quiet. And I think that's just like an interesting, like, equating the elevator to like a cell, to a coffin. Like, he gets on the elevator and he's kind of like if he follows through with this, I mean, that's one of the results that can happen if he follows through with this. He gets on the elevator to go kill someone. He's gonna, this will probably be like the death of him.
Oh my god, yes. And wait, just to say that, he also says cell, which could also imply like different outcomes. Yeah.
Yeah, like at the cell, like thinking about like how he's kind of the whole thing is dedicated to people who are in detention centers, and kind of like that whole, he could end up in a detention center because of this as well if he doesn't end up dead. And just kind of like, you know, elevators a confined space, but like the whole what does the ending mean? I don't know. I guess. I mean, what do you think of it? What do you coming? I don't know. It's just like I wanted it. I was not expecting it. I wanted to know what happened, but at the same time, it's like I should have expected, because Jason Reynolds is never telling me what happens.
No, I know. I think that's what makes me love him so much. It's that he knows that everyone expects there to be in having that ending. Like, you're gonna have a lot of opinions about it. Everyone's gonna have different opinions about it. So it's nice to see a change, especially in this kind of book, and the message it's saying. It's like the individual reader has the power kind of to designate an ending, to decide what's right or wrong based on everything you've been given. And I don't know, that just makes, first of all, that makes the reader feel powerful, and it just makes us love the book more because we kind of have control. But then it's also, I feel it's very thoughtful of the author to do that. So yeah, because I'm so used to reading books with endings, like they have one ending, like there's no alternate route. But for this one, it's kind of different to see that, and especially for this kind of book where you have especially different opinions. I would feel inside who are saying like, who've actually sometimes experienced this. They would be saying, yes, revenge they allow it and everything. Oh my god. But yeah, just in general, that's what I think. And especially in the end, where his little author page, it says he wants a young person to be seen, and I think that's important. So yeah, you go.
Also, the interesting thing was that this is the first time that his brother Shawn talks to him. Like, he's ignored him the entire time he's in the elevator until they get off, and he's like, "Are you coming?" And I think that's just like really interesting too. I guess tying it back to that other question was like, you know, why is Shawn ignoring him, and how it's saying like how it's important to look at the pattern and see how the pattern breaks. So the pattern is like Shawn ignoring him, and here he finally breaks the pattern, and he's like, "Are you coming?" He says, "You coming?" And it's just like, I don't know, it's just like really interesting. Like, what does that mean? The words "you coming," does that mean like, are you getting off this elevator? One, that's one meaning. Two meaning, are you like getting off this elevator and like gonna end up dead and go with us because all the dead people are getting off the elevator? You're gonna end up dead. Are you coming to the afterlife? Or like, I don't know. There's like, you know, multiple meanings to it, and it's two words, and there's just like so much to think about. I don't know. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, I just think like, how can one person come up with all this in one book where every single thing that he writes has a certain meaning? Like, it's just you can't comprehend it. Like, for me, someone who takes everything so literally, who doesn't like designate enough time to, I mean, I'm a New Yorker, so time goes like this around here, like literally. Like, people don't stop to think about things. People don't even look again. second time. But I think that was an interesting thing to put in there. And yeah, just like you don't know where the destination is. Like we talk about an elevator in terms of it's going to bring you from point A to point B, and it's going to bring you to wherever you want to go. But where exactly does he want to go? Like it's never answered. And I think that's the beautiful part about this book.
Yeah, I don't know. There's just like we're like discussing this and we just don't have the answers to these questions. Which I think is like, I think one, they annoys me because I want an answer, but two, I don't know what to think. Maybe I just gotta read this 5 more times and maybe I'll have an answer. 5 more times.
Yeah, I think
I don't know.
Like he knows that as many times as you read it, it's definitely like you're always gonna be skewed. You're gonna have your own opinions about everything. And I feel like this book, even though you might be afraid to say something, like you might be afraid to say, okay, he went towards his goal of getting revenge, but it differs for every person, because someone like me who would be solve violence, so he must have gotten off to his original destination and, you know, back to his house and just kind of, you know, like not going with his idea of revenge. But yeah, I think yes. Oh my god. Are you kidding? Well, get over your stairs. God damn.
I don't know.
But yeah, an outcome, but I'm just saying it varies for every person, and that's why these kind of books I feel bring the most. So you're like, I need to talk about it with someone. I need to get it straight. I need to find out what happened. But in reality, there is no right answer, which is very, very, very thoughtful.
Maybe he just like, because it doesn't say if he gets off or not. It's just like Shawn's like turns around, he's like, "Are you coming?" And it's like, yeah, he pushed the 7 and went back up, which is okay.
Oh my god,
another thing, you know, because he was like, he brings up this story when he was a kid where Shawn and him would get on the elevator and wait for people to push the L, because L stood for a loser to them, and he was the one that pushed the L, and also like loser. Like, he's pushing L, and he will, like, one way this can end is, like, him losing his life and being, like, the actual, like, loser, because he's, like, lost his life, and he clicked L, and I don't know. I just, I don't know.
Yeah.
You have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. It's a dead end talking about the end. It's just gonna change whoever you talk to, honestly. Like there's no right answer to it, and I think that was his like 100%. I think that was his intent, especially because I think, oh my god, I think if you like actually meet him again and you ask him what was the ending supposed to be, he will not tell you. He will be like, it's up to you.
He might be like,
what would be like its
ending would be, and then maybe he'll like hint what or not, but.
Yes, exactly. Oh my god, like it's great. Okay. So we kind of answered the 12th question. We talked a lot about that actually, which I think is a huge thing, since the whole cover and everything, it takes place in an elevator. I think setting in a book just is very important. You have to keep that in mind. So the way he chose everything, like he said, I think he wrote this book. I think he's one of those authors who are it's just such a natural. It's such a he has this natural instinct to make everything so important, and he's very meticulous about his writing, and it all shapes up into this one message, which is very hard to do personally. So big praise, honestly.
Yeah. I don't know. I just like absolutely love him, and this book is just like I definitely gotta read it again. I feel like it's one of those books where if you read it at different points of your life, you will have a different like interpretation of it, which is like really interesting, and it's also like a testament to YA and young readers, because I think that's also like something that Jason is just like trying to he wants to give young people a voice, and show that they're not like that. They are like they shouldn't be treated as like invisible or like not like written off as like not as important, their opinions and their thoughts. And I feel like that's definitely like a thing with a lot of like YA authors is like showing that young people like do like have something important to say and you should really take them seriously. And I think it's just like interesting because like I can imagine myself like reading this if I read it when I was younger. or if I like read this when I'm like older and see, kind of, I definitely think that my perspective on it will change, because there's just like so much. I mean, there's a lot of questions of like ethics and morality, and that is something that's always like, transforming as you experience new things and learn about new things in life. So I definitely want to like reread this again and again at different points in my life, like listen to the audiobook and see maybe how that changes some things.
Yeah, what you said about age is also another thing to bring up, because you have the father who followed the rules and carried this out, and then when he's older, he carried it out when he was like younger, right? Or was he the same age? Or I don't know. We never get clarification on like when he, murdered his brother's killer.
Well, yeah, I mean, when his father was at least more into his adult life, I guess, because like he had.
Yeah, because I would think that they're in the elevator at the age they died, right?
Maybe.
Like I would think. Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
No.
But yeah, like just
died as like a little girl, and Danny has all grown up now, which is also interesting.
Oh shoot, that's true. Okay, so now fine. We never had clarification. I'm just gonna leave it at that. But I think it's important that you can kind of see how the father's mindset has changed. That's why he's trying to get Will out of this. He's trying to convince him that it's not right and that he was wrong in killing this person, because he obviously killed the wrong person. So he wants Will to think about it again. So yeah, another thing to think about. Very interesting, Belinda, for bringing that age thing up.
Yeah, there's just like so much to talk about, and we never really talked about their mom either. But I mean, she's not in it for much. But I just like found it really interesting that her mom has eczema. I have eczema, which currently sucks, and I just found that to be just like really relatable. That like one poem that he wrote about like eczema, and I was like,
yeah, same. I mean, we were not going to talk about eczema right now, but
what?
But yeah. That was a really big. I didn't actually look into that part much, but yeah, I have eczema as well, so it was kind of like, wow, like that is that. You know how it was saying like it got kind of graphic in there where it was saying like she scratched it and started bleeding. I'm like, wow, like that actually happens to me, man.
Yeah, so, yeah. The random like really gross.
Yes,
that's life. Well,
TMI.
Or just like that whole aspect was that his brother went to the store, like the whole like how he ended up getting killed was like he went to the store to get his mom's special soap, and it's just like that, just a normal everyday thing that some of us, I guess, take for granted, like that you could go to the store and I don't know, it's just like a normal thing, and in his life, like this is kind of this normal thing that we take for granted is not something that they actually like have like a privilege to, like going to the store. It's like it is dangerous in their situation, I guess. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I don't know. That's kind of like something to think about too. Do you have any?
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, honestly, I think we covered a lot of bases, and the only way to like truly understand this book is it's kind of like through our own thoughts, and there's no right answer to it. That's like the main point that I think this book brings up is it's just sharing an experience. So yeah, I'm happy that we read it. Another Jason Reynolds book for the win, probably beating our other live show time. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I guess like we're kind of like we should wrap it up now.
Yeah.
You haven't read this book. I don't know why you stayed for the entire thing, because we totally spoiled it. But at least it'll maybe give you some things to think about as you're reading it or rereading it. So like if you have any answers to our questions, definitely comment them, because we want to know what you think, because I feel like this is like depending on the person and the circumstances which you are born in, and I definitely have not grown up in a similar situation as the characters in this book, so I can only speak from my perspective of what I know. And I don't know, it's just like really interesting. And I guess, Alex, do you want to say any wrap-up thoughts on this before we wrap the?
Yeah, I'm I think Jason Reynolds, I think we should read another book from him in a future time. But yeah, just in general, like Belinda said, it varies in every single person. This is definitely going to be like, you're never going to have the same thoughts as another person. It might be similar, but everyone's going to have their own opinions. And I think that especially that rings true for this book. And I think there's going to be like a lot of conversation. And like I said with All American Boys, I think this is a book that should be in the school curriculum. But you know, schools are they're not very accepting to YA. So, or what, like, you know, just in general, books that aren't freaking classics. But okay, stop my ranting.
Yeah, I think it's just like really important. I went to my high school library and I saw this on one of their like display tables, and I was really happy to see it there. There's like a kid wandering, and I was like really tempted to be like, read this.
That's me at books all the time.
Yeah, I'm really happy that we chose this book because there's just like so much to talk about. I guess I want to wrap up the year and the video and say just, you know, thank you for joining us on Diversify the first year of it. I'm really happy with what we're doing, and I hope we just kind of continue growing. I know a lot of great diverse books are coming out in 2018. I hope that they are, because I really don't know what's coming out in 2018. Other than some of, you know, like the earlier releases that I'm really excited for, and we'll probably like have a really great. I know we have some ideas of what we want to do next, but it'll be exciting. And again, we're not doing a January book, so we'll pick this up back in February, and we haven't chose the book yet, so just kind of keep posted on our Instagram. We'll probably like do like a fun hint thing, and we have a giveaway coming up as well, so just, you know, kind of follow with us there. And yeah, I don't know, what else do you want to say about the whole year of Diversify the Verse?
So yeah, 2017 was the year we launched this whole entire idea, or just in general, I think we've met a lot of people through this that have, you know, liked it, or whoever's ever commented or ever watched one of our videos. It's just really special to us that we get to share this message of like, there's so many books beyond like the most popular YA, or the books that are pushed out there the most, and we just want to share those books with you, whether they may be the most popular or whether they may be like long way down. And most of Jason Reynolds books are kind of get lost in the sea of how many books get put out every year. So yeah, this definitely, if you're coming back and joining us for 2018, it's going to be just a year full of books that you don't hear a lot of books that, of course, follow the most important topics. So thank you for an amazing year, and we hope that you'll stay with us for this year. So,
yeah, we'll also be putting out a survey about maybe like some things you want us to do with the next year, you know, like what kind of books you want us to more read about, because, you know what, the fun is doing this with other people as well. So having, you know, more people join in our live shows, which is really great, or, you know, if you can't join, then to come back and watch it later. And we definitely, like, you know, keep looking at our old live shows in case new things come up, which is really great that we can have that like on YouTube and you can rewatch things. Yeah, I'm really, you know, happy with what we're doing with Diversify the Verse, and I just can't wait to expand it more and read new books. And I'm glad this is like successful. And, you know, like a lot of people do have like their goal of first books. I feel like for me, that's not really a goal, because that's what I do anyways. Like most of the books that I read last year were diverse just because that's what I like reading. And so, like, if you're definitely, like, you know, kind of get the message out there that this, you know, exists, and, you know, it's a way in. Sure, if you are maybe on the fence, which is great, but yeah, so like, you know, thank you for this great year. We're really excited what we do next, and oh my gosh, look at how many books we read this year. I can't believe it. I'm really happy with what we've been doing. All right, back. Yeah. Okay. Do we want to say bye now?
All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll see you next month. Another month.
Yeah. Bye.